Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshack if you want to call me by my in-game name, and we're going to be doing another Rob Reviews. This time is going to be Kobolds and Catacombs. I know we did our Catacombs. I know our last review was on Knights of the Frozen Throne, which we're on some cards we were doing pretty good, and some cards we completely missed. So I'm hoping that this time around, after reviewing our original reviews and then making more reviews, these reviews should be better reviews than the original reviews reviewing the review. Easy, right? All right, so with that, let's head on into it. We'll see if I'm right. I think the first card we talk about is the Mage Legendary Weapon. So without further ado, let's get into it. We talk about the cards for basically the first time for you guys who are unfamiliar with how we do our card reviews. Again, haven't been able
card reviews are all the same, Rob.
Yet, have no idea. This is our first take on them, what we think, and pretty much we go on.
Let me tell you what we're gonna do in the card review. We're gonna review the cards. Thanks for that, Rob.
Mage Staff. A Lunith, at the end of your turn, draw 3 cards. So, very powerful. I think this is very powerful. My first gut tells me combo, right? Because we think about like
your first gut is wrong.
About drawing cards and getting
your first gut is way wrong.
But basically, you're drawing 4 cards a turn because this draws you 3, and then at the start of your turn you draw 1. So you're drawing.
What's your second gut?
Which is basically half the amount of cards your hand is able to hold because you max out at 10.
I'm just gonna point out our beard right now is literally the same. Like we're rocking like the same beard setup, like it's the same thickness, and then he's wearing a black shirt. I say he is, he's in me. Well, he is you, and you're wearing a black shirt. I'm wearing a black shirt, so we're like wearing the same shit. Fuck Rob.
So I think a lot of overdrawing might happen if you end up.
This is a red chair. That's a blue chair. This is 2 different Robs.
Because most of these cards in the mage deck,
red versus blue, baby.
And save them for the combo like Molten Reflection, you know, Archmage, Sorcerer's Apprentice.
You're still talking about Exodia Mage?
Like Blizzard and Frost Nova, which you can't really all cast in one turn. So I think this
expand
really
your
has
mind.
The potential to overdraw you if you put it in like a combo-based mage deck. And then the only other option is, okay, well, what other mage decks are there? There's like the Control / Burn / Mage, which I don't think you'd want to put it in there because again, it has pretty high end. And then there's Tempo Mage, Tempo Secret Mage, which normally kind of runs out of cards to around turn 6 or 7. You know, the Firelands.
Oh, you on something? You on something? You getting there?
It's kind of like Arcane Intellect and you're top decking. So I think this is actually, it won't be a bad card to throw into a more aggressive style mage, more of a mid-range mage, you might say, because after again, 6 to 8, somewhere in there, you know, their hand is really low and they're just looking to burn out their opponent. So I think this is actually not a bad, worst case scenario, let's say they kill this, because
worst case scenario, lay it on me, big boy.
Legendary weapon, right? So this legendary weapons are going to be really popular. It's a weapon, so it's going to apply to weapon destruction. So Harrison Jones, Acidic Swamp.
Legendary weapons will be super popular. You mean 2 of them, right? You mean the Warlock and the Mage. No other one is seen.
Ooze, Gluttonous Ooze, like stuff like that is going to get really popular really fast. And if those are popular, then the weapons aren't popular. So it's kind of going to go back and forth in between people playing the weapons.
Back and forth. Rob knows
what's up. How much weapon destruction is being played, which is a whole nother story. Also keep in mind with all the legendary legendary weapons we're going to go over. This ability that triggers at the end of your turn, draw 3 cards. When that triggers, this weapon doesn't lose durability. The durability stays the same. I looked it up on Reddit.
He looked it up
from there in regards to how
he did his research.
Works before I started talking about him because we had some complaints in our last review. Rob, you need to do research, but if I do research, it kind of takes away from the first look at the card. It gives me some information that, you know, I think
I got it pretty right. I said it was going to be played in Tempo Mage.
A little bit of work in regards to how the mechanical
and let me tell you,
works. And
it's played in Tempo Mage, chat.
And the actual status of the card or the effect of the card triggers. So I'm not really sure how you're going to lose durability unless they kill the card. Or maybe there's like, you know, you can use your use weapon durability to get this. I don't know. We haven't seen that kind of stuff yet. But as it stands, I think this is a pretty good card. And I think depending on the mage deck, it will see play. I don't think this is going to be a card that never.
Yeah, that would really make sense. Every time it triggers, it loses a durability. Wouldn't that balance it out? It would actually make this weapon better because half the time with this weapon, they kill themselves. But the Warlock weapon, because it can sit out there forever, and let's say you return the cards to their hand and it keeps summoning them, the durability never goes down. So for like cards like the Warlock weapon, if it would lose a durability every time it summoned a minion, that actually, I think, balanced out the card a little bit better. You know what I'm saying?
Sees play. I think depending on the mage deck, it will definitely see quite a bit of play. And it's not bad at all. Right on the money.
The next one is the Carnivorous.
Oh!
I actually really like this card.
You like it. You're not gonna like it when you get 2 months from now, Rob.
We'll get into it in a second. So we have the picture, which looks really fucking weird. It's a 5-mana 4/6, so the stats aren't bad. And it says Battlecry, destroy friendly minions.
You like this card now, but you will not like it later.
Or whatever your friendly minion's name is, you know, you're dead.
What up, green things?
This deal? Death Rattle, summon 2 copies of it. So as we can see, this is going to be really good. It's not so much you'd want to use this on a Battlecry because you don't get anything from that other than just summoning the extra copy of the minion. But if you use this on a card like Karen Bloodhoof, maybe a Jade card like Jade Swarmer, Aya Blackpaw.
Oh, Jade!
I can't think of the
Aya Cubed, baby.
Right, the Druid Legendary card.
My mind is already in the Aya Cubed phase.
So you'd actually kill it, make all the taunts, and then make 2 more of those spider dudes when this guy dies. So polymorph effects.
I don't think I mentioned
Hex,
Warlock in here at all.
Nerfed Hex are definitely going to be really popular cards in my opinion, with all, especially with the carnivorous cube hanging around. I think this is a really powerful card. I'm going to attempt to play one, if not probably one of these.
Very powerful card though. I said it.
Deck, when we get to it, or maybe like a Taunt Druid. Maybe we can throw one of these in there, or 2 of them instead of.
Where did Taunt Druid go? Taunt Druid died a terrible death.
Lurker, in my opinion.
We might have to remake a Taunt Druid. We might have to try that again, folks.
Yeah, good card. I like this card a lot.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Guild Recruiter. 5 mana 2/4 Battlecry, recruit a minion that costs 4 or less. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the recruit mechanic, think of it as
I mean, basically people just play this in Overload Shaman and then they pull the
out of your deck randomly. So
the 2/8 Overload Taunt, or they pull the 4 mana 7/7.
You know, randomly he pulls a minion out of the deck at the end of the turn. This basically does it when you play the card. So a lot of people were saying, you know, Rage should say recruit a card, you know, at the end of the turn because you're pulling a random card out of your deck. They said they're not going to change that, even though it's totally not towards this card. But recruit is basically you pull a random minion out of your deck that costs 4 or less. So I can't think of off the top of my head
4 mana 7/7
combos super well with this guy. I mean, you have like maybe Shaman, you know, Faceless Shambler, not Faceless Shambler, Faceless dude, he's a 4 mana 7/7. You know,
get him!
If you
Sorry,
play this Shaman, you
get a
also
little
have,
excited.
Like,
Good job, Rob.
He's a 3 mana 2/8. I can't think of the names of them.
3 mana 2/8 with time.
But basically overstatted 3
God
or 4
damn.
mana cards that have a big drawback because of the overload or something like that.
Your boy.
Also, Warlock has that 3 mana.
Your boy.
3/5 with Taunt. Felguard, I believe his name is. So those are some combos that you'd kind of think
Felguard.
of, but I don't think you'd play a deck around this guy. You know,
you said a little Taz Dingo.
Deck, and the deck revolves around doing cheesy stuff like this, but I don't think it's good enough to actually like build a deck around just to summon a random 4 cost from your deck for 5 mana. Like, it just doesn't seem like that great enough that you'd sacrifice, because you wouldn't want to play 1 and 2 drops. You'd want to focus on having really powerful 3 and 4 drops. Maybe you'd play this in like a Prince deck, because Prince you normally not run any 2 drops at all besides Prince, right? So you
pull Prince,
have any 2 drops to pull from, and then you normally have powerful 3 and 4 drops. So maybe this actually fit into some form of Prince deck that really doesn't have a lot of 2 drops, and then 1 drops.
It's actually not a bad idea.
Or there's just not a lot of 1 drop.
That's actually not a terrible idea. What if you ran this in a Prince deck? Worst case scenario, it pulls Prince, but best case, you Prince and then it pulls a minion that's at 3 or 4 drop that got buffed through Prince for free. You might be onto something.
So it's not that big of a deal. But either or, I don't think it's that great, but it could find use in, like I said, particular decks that run very powerful 3 or 4 drop minions. Heading to the next cards, Martin Fox. You actually, everybody, if you didn't catch my informational video regarding,
we don't need to go over the Foxy boy.
I believe yesterday, everybody's gonna get this card starting.
Here's a good one.
Next hunter card for a shitty control hunter that doesn't exist because it's shitty.
I actually, what did I say about this?
Dank tank hunter secrets coming in here. What do we got? We got happy sauce.
I'm actually interested to see what I said about crushing walls.
Crushing walls.
Please call this card shit.
Hunter is gonna return, guys. It's common. No, it's definitely not coming. The only thing getting crushed is the hunter class. So 7 mana, destroy your opponent's left and
You're right, Rob.
minions.
You're right.
So basically, it's a 7 mana, kill 2 cards. Your opponent. So first of all,
it's a 7 mana suck ass.
7 mana to destroy 2 minions sucks.
Thank you.
Care. Like Siphon Soul, you get to pick the minion and you gain 3 life, and it costs, you know, a mana cheaper. And then and Siphon Soul was for the longest time not even played. It was considered like one of the worst removal cards in a Warlock. Like the old locks, they didn't want, no one wanted to play Siphon. So and if anything, you'd play one, you know.
True story.
So Crushing Walls is just even worse than that.
It's awful.
And it's an epic, which makes it even worse. Like, why would they make this shitty card an epic? Because Blizzard, you want to open up the pack and you get the good, and then you pull out the dog shit.
You get the good, then you pull out the dog shit. My boy.
To destroy a creature, make it so your opponent can't really play around it that well because you're paying mana. You're paying high cost. You're paying a lot of mana to be able to do something big, right? You don't want your opponent to be easily able to play around cards like this. Like at least Meteor, you can play it around in a little bit, but it doesn't cost 7 mana. It costs 6 mana, and it has a better ability than this, of course. So this is just a shitty hunter card for a shitty control hunter that doesn't exist because it's shitty.
Very good description, Rob.
Hunter Secret.
A shitty control hunter card for a shitty thing that shitty doesn't exist.
Tank Hunter Secret's coming in here. What do we
Wandering
got?
Monk.
When a enemy attacks your hero.
Very good card.
Similar to cards like Misdirection and
I don't think I rated this that highly though.
And things like that. Summon a 3-cost minion as a new target. So before at least we get Bear Trap out of the deal, you know, it would summon a 3/3 bear. You could play around stuff. Now it's just summon a random 3-cost minion. It could be anything, you know. So it's like
it could be anything. Could be homework.
Like, at least Noble
could be a Taco Bell.
Stuff when you attack
could be a Planet Smoothie.
Things.
Could be a Mr. Moo Moo Power Wagon.
2/1. You can make a good play and be like, if it's Noble Sacrifice, I can attack here. You know, it's just going to be a 2/1. With this card,
does Rob know this isn't Noble Sacrifice?
You know, it could be a fucking 1/1, could be a 2/1, could be a 3/1, could be a 3/2, could be a 3/3, could be a 4/4. Who the fuck knows?
See, that's what I'm saying. Could be Planet Smoothie, could be LA Fitness, could be fucking 7-Eleven, could be gas, could be a car. Who the fuck knows, man? Could be Superman.
You can play around it, but only to a certain extent, because even the person who played it doesn't know what it's going to generate. So I don't like cards like this at all. I don't like.
Hence the word secret, Rob. No one fucking knows. It's a double blind study, and you're gonna fucking just gotta go.
But that's only one card we've covered so far. So the next one's gonna be the Dry Gulch Jailer, 2 mana, 1/1 Death Rattle.
When I read this card, I probably wanted to Dry Gulch Jailer. Dry Gulch. I probably want to say a Dry Gulchulador. But I slowed so fucking hard.
To your hand. 2 mana, 1/1.
I'll probably say something about mid-range paladin.
Silverhand recruits your hand is good. So obviously some form of aggro, even aggro paladin wouldn't be good because you run divine favor in those, right? So
same mid-range.
3 1/1s to your hand, and that doesn't seem that great. So maybe like a hand buff paladin. You know, you have a lot of Silverhand recruits. They're normally 1
Say something about that fucking Steglodon creature.
1 mana 2/2s, and you can play a bunch of them, or you can buff them even further than that, or you've got some Silverhand recruit synergies. So maybe we also have the Vine Cleavers out, and we also have a Silverback something. It's a 3 mana.
That's the dinosaur.
4 mana. I don't know. I think it's a 4 mana 3/4.
Light Fuse Steglodon.
Silverhand recruits very similar to Megasaur, but Megasaur has better stats.
Megasaur.
For some fucking reason, Megasaur should have the same stats as this other card that adapts the Silverhand that does Murlocs. But either regardless,
this card actually saw no play for the longest time, and it actually is just now recently seeing
play.
Make
this card a lot better if it was Battlecry had 3 Silverhands, because then you could play it right away. But the fact that it has Death Rattle means it's going to take at least a turn unless you're killing your own minions, which I don't think you'd play.
And I wasn't thinking about that. As it being a Death Rattle, that means you can play this immediately, and then you can play Divine Favor, and then draw, and then you kill this, and you get cards. But let's say if you play this immediately, you get cards, and you try to Divine Favor, and you don't have the mana because you added cards to your hand, and you have to play them before you favor. So Death Rattle actually helps this card more than Battlecry in the aggro paladin because of cards like Divine Favor.
Deck that kills
I should have
took
that into account.
Value. So yeah, I don't think this card, even in like a hand buff deck, I don't think there's a room for this guy.
Oh, there's room.
Maybe there is. Maybe there's a silver. Maybe mid-range paladin is gonna make its return, and it's gonna revolve around Silverhand recruits. It's hard to say. We haven't seen all the cards yet, so maybe there's some more Silverhand recruit synergy.
I don't think we saw level up.
And if there is, maybe this card finds use. But at the moment, with what we have, I don't think this is good enough to play in a hand buff or some form of mid-range Silverhand recruit adapt card or adapt deck. Next one, Dragon Soul. Another legendary weapon. This is the
please don't rate it highly. Please don't rate this highly.
After you cast 3 spells in a turn, summon a 5/5 dragon. Again, a 0 attack, 3 durability. When this triggers, when you summon the 5/5 dragon from casting 3 spells, it doesn't cast durability. Reminder, it could be there forever until it gets
doesn't cast durability, guys. You mean it doesn't use durability, Rob? Get with the fucking program.
Spell. The fact that you cast 3 spells in a turn really
isn't that hard for Priest. If we look at Priest right now, Priest has a lot of cheap spells. Look at Lyra, Auctioneer, comboed with, you know, Circle of Healing, Inner Fire.
Lyra and Auctioneer. Rob, one of those cards costs 5, the other costs 6. So you're telling me you play this on 3, you do nothing with it until turn 6, and then at turn 6 you play Auctioneer, and then you play 3 Circle of Healings? What kind of fucking dank ass kush are you smoking to fucking say this shit's cheap, and then you list 2 cards that the combination listed takes 11 mana? Simmer down.
Fire, Divine Shield, Power Ward Shield, Potion of Madness, Shadow Ward Pain.
Get a grip!
The list goes Silence. The list goes on forever, right? Smite. There's just all of these really cheap Priest spells, Binding Heal, and being able to cast 3 of them in a turn really isn't that hard.
It's pretty hard, Rob.
Can you trigger this multiple times in a turn? Let's say you play 6 spells. It's a lot of fucking spells, but I'm assuming it does trigger multiple times in a turn. Maybe not. Maybe it only triggers once. Because it says after you cast 3 spells in a turn, summon a dragon. Period. And then after this 3 spurs, maybe you
period.
I'm not sure. But either way, triggering this effect once, not that hard. Triggering it twice, probably a little bit more difficult. But the fact that it sticks around forever is really good. But then again, if a lot of people are playing Dragon Soul, a lot of people are going to be playing Weapon Destruction. And if a lot of people are playing
Dragon Soul, do you hear that, chat? Whew. I don't think if you accumulated everyone who played Dragon Soul, I don't even think you could fill a high school fucking dance. Like this card.
Play Dragon Soul, and the vicious cycle will continue. I like the legendary weapons a lot. I think it adds a little bit of diversity to the game. I've been pushing legendary weapons for fucking ever now. Ever since I think like GVG, I've been like, you know what, they need to give a legendary weapon.
I said for a long time, legendary weapons would be super cool. You know what's not super cool? Dragon Soul.
Every review, I think we mentioned something like that. So it's about time we got something. I mean, it only makes sense.
I don't think Priest deserved anything cool though. Fucking Highlander, Can you imagine Highlander and on top of their legendary DK, Anduin, Raza, Kazakis, Scream, they get a good legendary weapon too? By fucking all might would they fucking dominate everybody from here to every, like, it would just be, oh my god. I'm glad it sucked, but at the same time, we're sad it sucks because Highlander's gone and the only thing left is Big Spell Priest, and that's not, I don't think that's a good representation of Priest either. Priest should be slow, grindy, control, thought steal cards from your opponent, play them, not fucking high roll with Spiteful Summoner. Like, they fucked Priest so hard.
This is the next ability that I've been pushing for a long time. I'll say, like, you know, cards are good, for example, in the early game.
Also, I go on a whole bunch of tangent because I've been saying they need to do cards like the Spellstones forever now. Have a card that either gets better over time as long as you do things that make it better, or have cards that have 2 abilities, one being very good, one being situational. So I go on like a little tangent, I believe.
When you build a deck, you're going to have cards that are really good in the early game, you're going to have cards that are good in the mid game, you're going to have cards that are good in the late game. Normally, those cards can't really leave that category of being good in particular times of the game. You know, drawing a Firefly on turn 10 feels like shit. The card is only good on turn 1, turn 2, in the early game when you're competing for board and you don't have a lot of mana. And then, you know, you draw your really heavy shit and you're like, I can't play this until like 6 turns and I'm going to be dead by then. So I was like, all right, why don't they make more cards that are less linear and only good at certain times and more, you know, like a variety based where you can play them, you know,
variety package, woohoo!
It's not as powerful as if you were to maybe play this card later on in the game. So you can choose, you know, do I want to save this card for value or do I want to play this card now? And that's exactly
some good points,
what this card does right here. So basically it's 1 mana, deals
Drunk Rob
damage to a
agrees
minion.
with Sober Rob, which almost never happens.
Before you use this card, it actually upgrades the card while it's in your hand. So let's say you play, I don't know, Earthen Scales, or you play Malfurion and you gain 3 armor, it actually upgrades and it's a 1 mana, deal 4 damage now to a minion. And then if you again gain 4 more armor or 3 more armor on top of that, it actually is a 1 mana, deal 6
I'm pretty sure I just say
minion.
this card is really good.
To a minion, because if it did to face, it'd be broken. A 1 mana, deal 6 to the
that
face.
card's not interesting.
It's already a fireball.
Ooh, I cover Rin.
And it's for 1
Alright, let's see what I said about Rin, chat.
It'd be way too broken.
What did I say about Rin?
If they can pull off it really soon versus really late. The next card we're going to talk about, the Warlock.
Please say it's super cool.
This card probably sucks ass.
but it is super fucking cool. Like super
yes,
cooler than cool.
Let's go, Rob.
All right. So it's a 6
super
mana, 3/6
fucking cool.
Death Rattle. Add the first seal.
My dude.
So for stat wise, 6 mana, 3/6. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It has taunt, which makes it a little bit better, but it's still pretty bad. And it's a death rattle, which means it can be polymorphed hex. You know, it can be dealt with, so you don't get the
dude.
seal, which is bad. So you can spend
It is so funny going 2 months prior and be like, Rob, I would really, really, really like you to say this, and then within a couple seconds, your boy says it. You're doing a good job, man. You're doing a good job. I just want you to let you know, man. Can I give you a little pat on the? Oh shit, my hand's going through. And can I go over? Oh, I can't go over. I'll give you a pat on here. Let me give you a little pat. Give you a little pat.
Card that's not really that great, and then they hex it. If
It's like you're almost the same person.
Or if it dies normally, I should say, you get the seal. The seal says summon a 2/2 demon. Add a second seal. So you're paying 5 mana for a 2/2 demon. You're like, what the fuck?
Yo, Ponce, $2.69 donation. Thank you so much,
original
man.
minion, overpriced for the first seal.
Appreciate it.
But guys, look at the second seal. The second seal adds.
That's the third seal, Rob.
It gives you a fourth seal, which gives you a 4/4, and it gives you a fifth seal, which gives you a 5/5. So the seals just keep getting bigger. Like, all right, I'm growing towards something.
They're getting
what am I getting there? I'm putting in so much fucking mana. I'm making seals. I better get something fucking.
I'm making seals. Arf, arf.
Nasty. Look at the final seal. Is a 5 mana. Summon a 6/6 demon. Finally, we're at some fucking
thick daddy.
Value. A 5 mana 6/6 demon.
Where's the thick daddy?
You never normally play that in your deck, but if it's part of like some sort of combo, we got to get to it, right? We're getting into it, all right.
Where's the thick daddy?
The final seal. Get you a guy called. I can't read that because it's too fucking small, but I'm gonna pop him up on the screen. Look at this fucking thing. It's a 10 mana 10/10 demon. He's thick as shit. And
thick as shit.
Destroy your opponent's deck. Drops Mike. Battle cry. Destroy your opponent's deck. Super cool ability. Super cool guy. You're never gonna pull this off because it costs like here.
You're never gonna pull it off,
15,
chat.
20, 25 mana just in seals.
Let me tell you.
26. And then add the
you get this guy down more than you think.
Fucking, oh wait. I think there's more seals. This is 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. Never mind. All right, so 5 times 5, 25, 31, 41 fucking damage.
Quick maths. 1, 2, 3.
Damage. 41 mana it costs to play this guy. 41 manas. That's a lot of manas. But he destroys your opponent's deck. So I'm gonna obviously play some Warlock deck that has this in there. I'm gonna try to make it work. It may not be that powerful, but it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be powerful. It's a deck that we got to legend with.
Normally by the time, let's run through this. Like you play this card. Let's say best case scenario, you play this on turn 6, right? There's not a fucking way in the world that you're playing these 5 mana 2/2s and 3/3s and you're not getting shat on, right? So you're playing these accordingly. Maybe you play this by like turn 15, somewhere between 15 and 20. If only you've dropped.
You're thinking way too much, Rob.
Play some of these seals
in a control meta, you can play this card back to back, my dude.
You're playing this when your opponent has less than 10 cards in their deck anyway. Plus upgraded card. I wish
next card, Shaman Spellstone.
On the screen. Hopefully you can read it. But I believe it says for 7 mana summon 1 copy of a friendly minion, and then you can evolve it, and then it goes from 2 copies.
I probably won't rate this highly.
Copies, and you upgrade this card by overloading it. On my screen, my like OBS is tiny, and if I bring it up, it surpasses the monitor. But again,
stop giving me excuses, Rob. Give me results.
Probably should have made it a little bit bigger for you guys.
Results.
I'm sure you can read it. You're not blind like me, who wears glasses. But anyway, again, I like the fact that I don't think this card is very good at all. 7 mana to summon 3 copies of a minion to me suck. You play this in some form of like death rattle, right? And at that point, like, why? Just why? Like you get 3 7/7s for 7 mana after you've maybe I don't know, maybe.
Think about it, Rob. Like big shaman,
scale out of 5.
death rattle, make a bunch of earth elementals. Think about it.
Seems like a dead card for most of the game. And this is like, oh, you have to have a good card. You have to have a good enough card on the board that you'd want to play this on it for 7 mana.
Thick big shaman.
You're not interacting with the board at all. You're just duplicating a minion. It can easily die to cards like Twisting Nether Brawl and stuff like that. So I don't know about that. I don't know.
No faith. No faith. No faith. I just fucking skipped it. I didn't mention Big Shaman once. I just said I don't like this card.
The dankest of donos.
Yo, Noob Scrub donated the 269 cents as well. Yo, thank you so much, Noob Scrub. You and Ponce holding it down. Appreciate it, guys. And then this was the last
of the cards we reviewed in this this review. So this hasn't even seen play at all. So there's no point to review cards that still have not seen played. We want to review those thick daddy cards. So with that, we're going to end the review here, and we'll be heading on to the review number 2 next. Appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you thought, and I will catch you in the next episode. As always, I'm Rob, of course, and happy whatever the hell day it is.